Some people shout when they're hurt. They argue, they explain, they cry, they send long messages. Others don't. On the outside, almost nothing happens. No raised voice, no big speech, just something very quiet. They shut down. The answers become short. The eyes start to look away. The body turns slightly inwards, as if trying to become smaller. The conversation goes on, but something is different. It feels like part of them has already left the room. From the outside, this can be confusing. It can look like coldness. If it hurt, why say nothing? It can look like pride. They just don't want to admit anything. Some even see it as manipulation or punishment. But in most cases, that silence is not empty. It is not a lack of emotion. It is usually the opposite. There is so much emotion inside that the person does not know how to let it out safely. Inside, the mind is not quiet at all. It is replaying the last sentence that was said. It is checking tone, facial expression, timing. It is asking, was that really what it sounded like? Did something wrong come out of my mouth? If this is brought up, will it help or will it become another fight? There are many possible replies forming and breaking apart. While all this is happening, the nervous system sends a simple instruction: step back. Not because connection is no longer wanted, but because in that moment, distance feels safer than one more experience of being misunderstood, dismissed, or attacked. Psychology often calls this emotional withdrawal. It is a way the system protects itself when a situation feels emotionally unsafe. The brain is always scanning. Is this safe or threatening? For some people, raised voices, criticism, heavy emotions, or tension automatically register as danger. Not physical danger, but emotional danger. The danger of being judged, shamed, rejected, or made to feel crazy. When the system feels that, it does not move in to talk more. It pulls away. Silence becomes a shield. What is important to understand is that this shield was not built in one day. People who go quiet when hurt did not usually start that way. In the beginning, they did what almost everyone does. They tried to explain. They said, "That hurt. That's not what I meant. Can we talk about this?" They were still hoping that if the truth was clear enough, things would improve. But again and again, that is not what happened. Sometimes their feelings were minimized. "You're exaggerating. You always make drama. It's not that serious." Sometimes their words were twisted and used later in other arguments. Sometimes they were laughed at or told to get over it. Sometimes the other person simply talked louder until they gave up. Each one of these moments is like a small cut. One cut is painful. Many cuts teach a lesson. The lesson is simple. Opening up does not fix it. It hurts more. The mind does what it always does with repeated pain. It adapts. It builds a quiet rule. If speaking leads to more hurt, then silence must be safer. This rule is not written in a notebook. It is written in the body. So next time there is conflict, the body reacts even before conscious thought. The throat tightens. The stomach turns. The chest feels heavy. The mind suddenly feels blank, even though a few minutes before everything was clear. By the time the person realizes what is happening, the silence has already arrived. For many, this story begins in childhood. Children are not born quiet about their feelings. A child cries when sad, complains when something feels unfair, asks questions when confused. That is natural. What happens next writes the script. If a child hears, "Stop crying," or "I'll give you something to cry about," the message is not "Be strong." The message is your sadness is a problem. If a child is told, "Don't be ridiculous," when scared, the message is your fear is embarrassing. If a child says, "That hurt my feelings," and hears, "Don't be so sensitive," the message is your hurt is wrong. This is emotional invalidation, when feelings are not welcomed, but corrected, mocked, or ignored. Children need their caregivers, so they adapt to survive. If showing sadness brings more pain, sadness is hidden. If showing anger brings shouting, anger is swallowed. If telling the truth brings trouble, truth is kept inside. Silence starts as a way to stay safe. Not safe in the deeper sense, just safe from more reactions. That child grows into a teenager and then an adult. There are new people around, new relationships, new chances. But the nervous system still remembers the old rule. Showing what is really felt equals danger. So even if there is now a partner or friend who might listen, the body does not trust it immediately. When hurt, the first impulse is still to go quiet, to fix it alone, to think. It's easier if this is not talked about. From the outside, this can make someone look emotionally unavailable or hard to read. In reality, there is often a lot happening under the surface. People who withdraw like this usually feel deeply. They notice small shifts in tone, small changes in someone's eyes, small pauses in conversation that others don't notice. They often have a strong inner world. They just do not show most of it in real time. Inside, after a painful moment, they might replay the conversation many times. They might lie in bed and go over every detail. What was said, what could have been said differently, what probably will happen now. They might write long things in the mind that never leave the mind. Some will write in journals or notes what they cannot say out loud. Ironically, many of them understand their own emotions quite well, when there is time, space, and no one looking. The difficulty is not knowing what they feel. The difficulty is feeling safe enough to show it. There is also a physical piece to this. Many describe the same strange experience, having words ready but being unable to say them when it matters. The thoughts are clear. They know what hurt. They know what boundary was crossed. They know the sentence they could say. But when they try, the voice doesn't come. The throat feels tight. The heart is beating faster. The chest feels like weight. The mind goes blank. It is as if the bridge between inner clarity and outer expression suddenly collapses. This is not playing games. It is often the nervous system's freeze response. Most have heard of fight or flight, attack or run when there is danger. There is a third option, freeze. In freeze, the body stays but becomes very still. Muscles tense. Speech slows or stops. The mind can feel foggy or empty. This is the body's attempt to pause everything, to reduce risk. For someone whose history taught that honest emotion leads to trouble, expressing emotion can feel like danger. So when it is time to speak, the body chooses freeze before the person can choose anything else. Over the years, a second habit grows on top of this, doing everything internally. Instead of reaching out, they turn inward. Instead of saying, "This hurt," they think, "I will sort this out alone." Instead of asking for comfort, they give themselves speeches in the mind. From the outside, this can look like strength. These are the ones who stay calm in conflict, who don't send angry paragraphs, who rarely ask, "Do you still love me?" Some people admire this, so independent, so strong. But quiet independence has a cost. Every hurt that is not shared is carried. Every misunderstanding that is not cleared sits inside. Every fear that is not spoken becomes heavier. At first, dealing with everything alone feels efficient. Fewer arguments, fewer explanations, less risk of being told you're too much. But slowly, something else appears. A kind of emotional loneliness, even in relationships, even in a full house. The feeling that no one really knows what happens inside here, because nothing is ever really said. This produces a painful paradox. People who shut down often do not want distance. Many of them want closeness as much as anyone else. They want someone who says, "Tell me, I won't judge." They want to be understood without being called dramatic. They want to feel safe enough to say, "That hurt." But the strategy they learn to protect themselves, silence, withdrawal, staying easy, works against that desire. When hurt, they disappear a little. When confused, they say it's nothing. When scared, they joke or change the subject. From their point of view, this is protection. Silence prevents saying something they will regret. Silence avoids adding fuel to the fire. Silence avoids seeing that look on someone's face again. The look that says, "You are overreacting," or "You are the problem." From the outside, however, the same silence can feel completely different. To a partner or friend, it can feel like a door closing. It can feel like disinterest, like punishment, like you don't matter enough for an explanation. The more someone withdraws to avoid being hurt, the more others can feel pushed away. The more others feel pushed away, the more likely they are to react with impatience, anger, or withdrawal of their own. That makes the withdrawing person feel even less safe, and so they withdraw more. The space between people gets wider. What started as a way to prevent pain ends up creating more of it. The person who wants to be understood ends up looking unreachable. This is why labels like cold, arrogant, emotionally dead often miss the truth. Many of these quiet reactors are not cold inside at all. They are often extremely sensitive. They pick up things others miss. They feel guilt and shame strongly. They replay conflicts long after everyone else has moved on. Their silence is not proof of a lack of emotion. It is a sign of not knowing if or where it is safe to show it. So what helps? Healing for this pattern almost never starts with pressure. Being told you have to talk, stop being so closed. Why can't you just say what you feel? Rarely opens anything. In fact, it usually confirms the old rule. It is not safe here either. Real change starts with something quieter and slower. Safety. Safety in this context does not mean a perfect person or a perfect environment. It means small moments where the nervous system experiences something new. A conversation where there is no interruption. A moment where a simple "that hurt" is met with "okay, tell me," instead of argument. A time when someone says, "It makes sense that you felt that way," instead of "you shouldn't feel like that." These moments may look small from the outside. Inside, they are big. For someone who always handled everything alone, saying even one honest sentence is an act of courage. For example, "I went quiet earlier because that comment hurt." Or, "I don't know how to explain it yet, but something in that situation confused me." Or even, "I need a bit of time, but I don't want distance forever." When these small truths are met with patience instead of defense, the nervous system records a new experience. Speaking did not destroy everything. I did not die. I was not shamed. Over time, these new experiences start to compete with the old rule. The old rule said, silence is the only safe place. The new experiences say, with some people, in some moments, it is possible to be seen and still be okay. The mouth might still close sometimes. The body might still freeze sometimes. That is normal, but the path back from silence becomes shorter. For those living with someone who withdraws, understanding this pattern changes the way their silence is read. Instead of thinking, they don't care, it can be seen as, they are protecting themselves. Instead of responding with attack, "Why won't you talk?" Say something. It can help to respond with calm curiosity. "You went quiet. I don't want to push you, but I'm here when you feel ready." Creating a space where emotion is not immediately corrected or judged is more powerful than any demand for explanation. And for those who see themselves in this description, there is one thing worth saying clearly. This way of coping was intelligent. It kept the heart alive in places where it could have been crushed. It avoided arguments that would have gone nowhere. It protected a very real sensitivity. There is nothing weak about that. At the same time, if life is now in a different place, with different people, it may be that this old protection is now blocking the very connection that is needed. Change does not mean suddenly sharing everything with everyone. It can mean starting very small, in very safe places. Writing honestly in a journal. Admitting to oneself, that moment today really hurt, instead of brushing it off. Sharing a little bit more with one trusted person. Saying once, "I stayed quiet, but it did affect me." These are not big internet-worthy breakthroughs. They are quiet, deep ones, the kind that actually last. If this reflection describes a familiar pattern, that recognition matters. It means something inside has been seen. For those who are curious about why the mind and heart act this way, and who want to understand and heal these deep patterns instead of just pushing them away, more explorations like this can help. Subscribing keeps these conversations close for the days when it is easier to shut down and pretend nothing is wrong. Liking this video helps this message reach others who go silent and then feel guilty for it without knowing why. Sharing it with someone who misreads silence as not caring might open a softer conversation. And in the comments, simply naming one part of this pattern, like, "I freeze when I try to speak," or "I learned early that my feelings were too much," can be a first gentle step in turning silence from a prison back into a choice.